do you do every morning?
I brush my teeth and get dressed.
How do you help at home?
I set the table for dinner.
What's your bedtime routine?
I read a story and go to sleep.
Why is cleaning your room important?
It keeps things neat and organized.
What do you do after school?
I do my homework and play outside.
How do you help with laundry?
I sort clothes and fold them.
What's your favorite chore and why?
I like watering plants. It's fun.
How do you take care of pets?
I feed them and give them water.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
I wash my face and eat breakfast.
What chores do you do on weekends?
I help with gardening and clean my room.
How do you keep your toys tidy?
I put them away after playing.
Why is making your bed important?
It makes my room look nice.
What do you do before dinner?
I wash my hands and set the table.
How do you help with groceries?
I carry bags and put things away.
What's your favorite chore and why?
I like feeding the pets. It's fun.
How do you help with cooking?
I stir and help with simple tasks.
What do you do before going out?
I put on my shoes and grab my bag.
How do you take care of plants?
I water them and give them sunlight.
What chores do you do before bedtime?
I brush my teeth and put on pajamas.
How do you help with cleaning?
I dust and wipe surfaces clean.
What's your least favorite chore and why?
I don't like doing dishes. It's boring.
How do you help with recycling?
I sort paper, plastic, and cans.
What do you do on a rainy day?
I play inside and read books.
How do you help with yard work?
I rake leaves and water plants.
What's your routine after school?
I have a snack and do homework.
How do you help with vacuuming?
I move chairs and help clean.
What do you do to keep your room clean?
I pick up toys and put away clothes.
How do you help with dishwashing?
I rinse dishes and dry them.
What's your routine before bedtime?
I brush my teeth and say goodnight.
How do you help with grocery shopping?
I make a list and help choose items.
What do you do on a sunny day?
I play outside and ride my bike.
How do you help with setting the table?
I put out plates, cups, and utensils.
What's your least favorite chore and why?
I don't like folding laundry. It's boring.
How do you help with mopping?
I help by moving things and drying.
What do you do when you wake up?
I stretch, yawn, and wash my face.
How do you help with gardening?
I water plants and pull weeds.
What's your routine before leaving home?
I put on shoes and grab my bag.
How do you help with garbage disposal?
I tie bags and take them out.
What do you do to help others at home?
I offer to help and share toys.
How do you help with mealtime?
I set the table and clean up.
What's your least favorite chore and why?
I don't like cleaning the bathroom. It's messy.
How do you help with packing for a trip?
I put clothes and things in a bag.
What do you do before sitting down to eat?
I wash my hands and say grace.
How do you help with sweeping?
I gather dirt and use a dustpan.
What's your routine on a school day?
I wake up, eat, and catch the bus.
How do you help with pet care?
I feed and groom pets with care.
What do you do to be responsible?
I do my chores and keep promises.
How do you help with mail or packages?
I bring them inside and give them to adults.
What's your least favorite chore and why?
I don't like cleaning windows. It's hard to reach.
How do you help with technology setup?
I plug things in and turn them on.
What do you do before taking a bath?
I gather towels and soap.
How do you help with bedtime routine?
I put on pajamas and brush teeth.
What do you do to show responsibility?
I complete chores and finish homework.
How do you help with recycling at home?
I sort paper, plastic, and glass.
What's your routine on weekends?
I play, read, and help at home.
How do you help with car cleaning?
I collect trash and wipe surfaces.
What do you do when you get home?
I take off shoes and hang up my coat.
How do you help with unpacking groceries?
I put items away in the pantry.
What's your least favorite chore and why?
I don't like cleaning up after pets. It's messy.
How do you help with preparing snacks?
I wash fruits and help make sandwiches.
What do you do when you finish a meal?
I clear my plate and put dishes away.
How do you help with making the bed?
I straighten sheets and fluff pillows.
What's your routine during holidays?
I help decorate and spend time with family.
How do you help with taking care of plants?
I water them and remove dead leaves.
What do you do to be a good helper?
I listen and do tasks with a smile.
How do you help with organizing things?
I put toys and books in their places.
What's your routine when you visit someone?
I greet them and take off my shoes.
How do you help with preparing meals?
I wash vegetables and set the table.
What do you do to help at special events?
I help with decorations and greet guests.
How do you help with dusting?
I use a cloth to clean surfaces.
What's your routine during school breaks?
I play, read, and help around the house.
How do you help with keeping the bathroom clean?
I wipe the sink and put away toiletries.
What do you do before you start your day?
I get dressed and have breakfast.
How do you help with outdoor chores?
I help with gardening and raking leaves.
What's your routine before a family meal?
I wash hands and sit at the table.
Who is a famous singer you like?
I like Taylor Swift. She sings beautifully.
What did Albert Einstein discover?
He discovered theories about space and time.
Who is a famous sports player?
I like Serena Williams. She's a tennis star.
What did Amelia Earhart do?
She was a pilot and flew across oceans.
Who is a famous superhero?
I like Spider-Man. He can climb walls.
What is Martin Luther King Jr. known for?
He fought for equal rights and justice.
Who is a famous actor you know?
I know Will Smith. He acts in movies.
What did Thomas Edison invent?
He invented the light bulb and phonograph.
Who is a famous astronaut?
I know Neil Armstrong. He walked on the moon.
What did Jane Goodall study?
She studied chimpanzees and their behavior.
Who is a famous author?
I like Dr. Seuss. He wrote fun stories.
What did Leonardo da Vinci paint?
He painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper.
Who is a famous artist?
I know Vincent van Gogh. He painted Starry Night.
What did Isaac Newton discover?
He discovered gravity and laws of motion.
Who is a famous dancer you like?
I like Misty Copeland. She's a ballet dancer.
What did Rosa Parks do?
She refused to give up her bus seat.
Who is a famous musician you know?
I know Beethoven. He composed beautiful music.
What did Mahatma Gandhi do?
He led peaceful protests for freedom.
Who is a famous chef?
I know Gordon Ramsay. He cooks on TV.
What did Marie Curie study?
She studied radioactivity and won Nobel Prizes.
Who is a famous scientist you like?
I like Jane Goodall. She studies animals.
What did Alexander Graham Bell invent?
He invented the telephone to talk from afar.
Who is a famous explorer?
I know Christopher Columbus. He discovered lands.
What did Neil Armstrong say on the moon?
He said, "That's one small step for man."
Who is a famous magician?
I know Harry Houdini. He did magic tricks.
What did Cleopatra rule?
She ruled ancient Egypt as a queen.
Who is a famous cartoon character?
I like Mickey Mouse. He's from Disney.
What did Benjamin Franklin invent?
He invented the lightning rod and bifocals.
Who is a famous president?
I know Abraham Lincoln. He freed slaves.
What did Helen Keller overcome?
She overcame being blind and deaf.
Who is a famous leader?
I like Martin Luther King Jr. He led protests.
What did Charles Darwin study?
He studied animals and how they change.
Who was a famous inventor?
I know Thomas Edison. He invented the light bulb.
What did Amelia Earhart try to do?
She tried to fly around the world.
Who is a famous athlete you like?
I like LeBron James. He's a basketball player.
What did Vincent van Gogh paint?
He painted the Starry Night and sunflowers.
Who is a famous singer you know?
I know Beyoncé. She sings and dances.
What did Christopher Columbus discover?
He discovered new lands across the ocean.
Who is a famous scientist you know?
I know Albert Einstein. He had great ideas.
What did William Shakespeare write?
He wrote plays and famous poems.
Who is a famous actress?
I like Emma Watson. She acted in Harry Potter.
What did Abraham Lincoln do for the U.S.?
He was a president who ended slavery.
Who is a famous musician you like?
I like Taylor Swift. She sings catchy songs.
What did Rosa Parks do for civil rights?
She refused to give up her bus seat.
Who is a famous artist you know?
I know Pablo Picasso. He painted unique art.
What did Albert Einstein study?
He studied space, time, and how things work.
Who is a famous athlete you know?
I know Cristiano Ronaldo. He plays soccer.
What did Mother Teresa do to help?
She cared for poor and sick people.
Who is a famous chef you like?
I like Jamie Oliver. He cooks and teaches.
What did Anne Frank write?
She wrote a diary during World War II.
Who is a famous movie character?
I like Elsa from Frozen. She has ice powers.
What did Nelson Mandela fight for?
He fought against apartheid and for equality.
Who is a famous dancer you know?
I know Michael Jackson. He danced and sang.
What did Leonardo da Vinci invent?
He drew inventions like flying machines.
Who is a famous singer you admire?
I admire Adele. She sings with emotion.
What did Amelia Earhart achieve?
She flew planes and set records.
Who is a famous musician you admire?
I admire Mozart. He composed beautiful music.
What did Benjamin Franklin study?
He studied electricity and inventions.
Who is a famous actor you know?
I know Dwayne Johnson. He acts and wrestles.
What did Marie Curie discover?
She discovered radium and polonium.
Who is a famous author you know?
I know J.K. Rowling. She wrote Harry Potter.
What did Walt Disney create?
He created Mickey Mouse and Disneyland.
Who is a famous sports player you like?
I like Lionel Messi. He's a soccer star.
What did Galileo Galilei study?
He studied the planets and stars.
Who is a famous actor you admire?
I admire Tom Hanks. He acts in great movies.
What did Neil Armstrong achieve?
He walked on the moon and explored.
Who is a famous president you like?
I like Barack Obama. He led the U.S.
What did Susan B. Anthony fight for?
She fought for women's right to vote.
Who is a famous musician you like?
I like Beyoncé. She's an amazing singer.
What did Michael Jordan play?
He played basketball and won championships.
Who is a famous scientist you admire?
I admire Jane Goodall. She studies animals.
What did Amelia Earhart dream of?
She dreamed of flying airplanes high.
Who is a famous explorer you know?
I know Marco Polo. He traveled to far places.
What did Helen Keller teach others?
She taught that all can overcome challenges.
Who is a famous inventor you admire?
I admire Alexander Graham Bell. He invented the telephone.